We're here to protest the hypocrisy of Japan's child abduction policies. We're here to protest for the children who have actually been abducted to Japan outside of the United States, taken by their parents. I'm here to help people understand that this issue exists and to try to help people change the world. We're out here today protesting the abduction policy. It's disgusting. It's absurd. The little girl in the bottom corner here is my daughter.
I'm a psychologist. I can tell you, both children need both parents. They need the love of their mother and their father.
If your children are abducted to that country, there's nothing anybody can do. Right now, Senator Dianne Feinstein, on my particular case, has been writing letters to the State Department, Condoleezza Rice, the Department of State. I have 3 little boys that have been abducted to the Philippines.
Why don't we send in some some dudes with guns and
Believe me, don't think that I don't entertain that thought every night, but if I go to the Philippines or if any of these guys go to Japan and try to re-abduct their children, if we're caught, we're going to go to jail for a long time, and there's nothing our State Department or our politicians can do to get us out.
Yeah.
If we violate the laws in a foreign country like Japan, it's serious. But believe me, sometimes you do think the risk is worth it.
Well, we're not actually protesting the movie, we're protesting Japan's hypocrisy in regards to this movie. Japan stood up and Koizumi stood up and he said abduction is illegal. He said abductors should be thrown in prison when talking about the Koreans. But what people don't know is 20 years ago he took his 2 sons away from his wife. And he will not allow his wife to see those 2 children. So Koizumi, in our eyes, is an abductor as well.
This is our son, Chris. He lives in Osaka, married 5 years to a Japanese woman. He's a college professor. He loves his child. She was born in Japan. She has dual citizenship. He has seen her 1 time in 2 years.
And we just need their solution.
The reason why they're here today is there's a movie being premiered
Well, it's hard to hand out.
that has to do with Japanese people being abducted to Korea. But if a parent abducts their children to Japan, they're home free.
This is not something having to do with a protest of the movie, of North Korea or of Megumi Yokota. It's to show the hypocrisy that Japan has. All I want to do is get people to know about this problem. Once people know, the people will change them. Parental abduction in Japan is legal, joint custody is illegal. I'm here to help people understand that this issue exists and to try to help people change the world. My story is a little bit different. I was living in Japan, married to a Japanese woman. We had a daughter, Amy, on my picture here. The relationship fell apart. We talked about divorce. She wanted a divorce. I okayed it. I had all of the court papers translated before I signed them. And they translated sole parental right, which is Japanese quote-unquote custody, as custody, which has a totally different meaning. In Japan, joint custody is illegal. There is no joint custody.
My son lives in Osaka, still pays child support. Seen the child twice, 2 times 1 year. The father remains in Osaka for just 1 little glimpse of this little girl. He loves her so much. This occasion, he saw her 1 time last year in October. It's been a year. So I've met my grandchild. I've met my grandchild's other grandparents. I know them well. They've stayed in my home. I've stayed in their home in Osaka. I would like people to know that children have rights. This is not an issue about parents. This is an issue about children.
I want to see my big sister.
I don't look at this as I have to re-abduct my daughter from Japan. I have to change the world. I have to break down the Japanese wall piece by piece until I have the power to get her out of Japan, as well as all the other thousands of abducted children.
It's important for Americans to write letters to their congressmen, to their senators, to the president, and insist that the United States government pressure Japan to sign on to that. It's not a question of do we want their child or they want our child. The issue is one of shared custody. There's no reason that our son cannot visit with his child once a month, once a year, and they refuse to give him any access whatsoever to our beautiful, beautiful little granddaughter.
This sign says, Japan, return abducted American children.
Japan is a non-signatory to the Hague Convention Treaty, and the release of this movie and the outrageous hypocrisy. Japan's making a movie about the abduction of their citizens, but when it comes to American children that are being abducted to their country, they just turn the other way, and they don't really care. Unless we can educate Japan and enlighten them to the trauma and the absolute just how devastating it is to not only myself as a parent, but to my extended family, we're not going to get any kind of changes.
Why are we discussing the government as opposed to the ex-wives or the ex-husbands or the grandparents who've stolen children? It's very, very simple. Because the government allows it. If the government didn't allow this to happen, it wouldn't happen. Of course, I'm upset at my ex-wife for what she did. But if the government stood up and said, this is wrong, your ex-husband has every right to see his daughter, I would see her. Period.